All problems are thinking problems. When I say all problems are thinking problems, I am making a very simple and brutal statement. There are no problems in life, there are only problems in the mind. And the mind is nothing but thoughts. So every problem you have is not an event, not a situation, not a circumstance. It is a thought about the event, a mental movie about a situation, a story about a circumstance. When you say you have a problem, you are not referring to reality, you are referring to a thought that appeared, a thought that you believed, a thought that you identified with, a thought that you replayed, a thought that you made into my problem. And once you believe the thought, the mind takes over and manufactures fear, stress, overwhelm, doubt, the urge to fix, the urge to escape, the urge to solve. All of these are secondary thoughts. So one thought gives birth to 1,000. Problems are not real, thinking is real. Nothing in the world is inherently a problem. But thinking can turn anything into a problem. Losing money is not a problem. You are thinking about losing money is. A breakup is not a problem. You are thinking about breakup is. Your future is not a problem. You are thinking about the future is. The situation is neutral. Your mind is not. The mind creates a problem to give itself a job. Understand this. The mind's survival depends on disturbance. If there are no problems, the mind becomes unnecessary. So the mind creates what if? Why did this happen? What will I do? I should have. I need to fix. It creates a fictional world and then asks you to live inside it. The problem is not the thought, the problem is belief. A thought by itself is harmless. It's like a cloud passing. But when you believe it, when you grab it, when you take ownership of it, the cloud becomes a storm. Every problem begins with the single act. You believing the thought rather than seeing the thought. Direct seeing ends all problem. When you see a thought as a thought, you are free. When you see it without judgment, without resistance, without trying to fix or run, the thought evaporates. It has no energy of its own. Your attention is its food. Remove the attention and the problem starves. The one who has problems is the problem. This will sound harsh, but it is the cleanest truth. The you who has the problems is also a thought, a fictional character, a dream figure. There is no you suffering, there is only thinking happening. There are no problems, there is only thinking. Situations are neutral, thinking creates suffering. A thought believed becomes a problem. A thought seen remains just a thought. The mind needs problems to exist. Direct perception ends the entire game. The one who suffers is a thought, not you. All problems exist only in your mind. A problem requires two things: a thought, your belief in that thought. Without these two, a problem cannot exist. Externally, there is only an event: money reduced, someone said something, a deal failed, someone left, your body feels pain. None of these are problems. They become problems only when the mind creates a story about them. A story is a thought, you believing it creates a problem. This is the entire mechanism. Reality is always neutral, your mind is not. Reality gives you an event, your mind adds, why did this happen? This is bad. This means something about me. My life is going downhill. The problem is not in the event, the problem is in the interpretation. Interpretation is mind, and mind is thought, and thought is problem. A problem does not exist without thinking. If you don't think about the issue, if you don't narrate it, if you don't replay it, where is the problem? It disappears. It only exists when you think about it. This is the clearest proof. A problem is just a mislabeled sensation. Every problem starts as a physical sensation: tightness, heat in chest, restlessness, pressure. Then the mind jumps. This sensation means something is wrong, something needs to be fixed. But the sensation is just a sensation. The label is the problem, and the label is thought. Your mind needs problems to survive. Understand this deeply. The mind lives on fixing, worrying, analyzing, projecting, revisiting the past. Without problems, the mind has no job. So it finds problem even in small things. They didn't reply. I could have done better. What if I fail? These are not problems. These are thoughts pretending to be problems. There is no problem without a story. A problem is nothing but an event that is turned into thought, that is turned into belief, that is turned into identity, and that is eventually turned into suffering. Without the story, without the mental narration, there is only the event. An event cannot hurt you psychologically. A thought can. When there is no thought, there is no problem. In moments of flow, deep work, silence, intense focus, presence, your problems vanish. Did the external world change? No. You stop thinking about the story. This shows problems are not in life, they are in the mind. Problem is virtual world, not the actual world. Your mind is a private cinema. It plays fears of the future, regrets of the past, fantasies, projections, judgments. This cinema has nothing to do with reality. You suffer not from life, but from your mind's version of life. Problems are thoughts with your name on them. Remove your name and the problem collapses. Life has events, mind has problems. A problem is a thought believed. Without thought, no problem exists. All suffering is interpretation, not reality. The one who suffers is a mental character, not you. Direct seeing ends the entire machinery. All problems are problems of the mind. There is no conflict. Everything is self conflict. There is no such thing as external conflict, only your mind projected outward. Whenever you say, I am fighting with this person, I am struggling with this situation, I am torn between two choices, life is against me, you are not describing reality. You are describing your inner division, your inner noise, your inner resistance. The external world is just an excuse. The real battle is inside you. There is no enemy outside. There is only you versus your own thinking. The mind manufactures conflict so it can survive. Conflict is energy, conflict is fuel, conflict keeps the mind alive. So the mind does this, creates a desire, creates fear around the desire, creates resistance to action, creates guilt for not acting, creates worry about acting. This entire loop is self conflict. No other person is needed, no outside event is required. The mind is a self running warfare system. You are fighting your own projections. All conflict is between two thoughts, never between you and life. Look at any problem you think you have. Stripe away the noise. At the core, it's always thought A versus thought B. Examples: I want to live versus I should stay. I want to do this versus what if it fails. I should be wrong versus why am I like this. I must work versus I want comfort. I forgive them versus but I am hurt. Two thoughts arguing inside your head while you call it my life problem. Life is not involved, only thoughts are. This is why it is called self conflict. The self is the conflict. The self, the me, is nothing but memories, desires, fears, stories, expectations, identity. And these elements fight each other. You call this my struggle, but the me itself is a struggle. There is no peaceful self. The self survives by disturbance. Remove the self, conflict collapses. When you stop believing the thoughts, conflicts end instantly. If you don't believe thought A and you don't believe thought B, there is no conflict. There is just life happening effortlessly. The conflict was never in the world, it was in your head. And the sufferer of the conflict was just the self image, not the real you. Life has no conflict, the mind adds it. Life is simple. You wake, you act, you eat, you rest, you respond to what's in front of you. Life is one uninterrupted flow. The mind, however, breaks this flow by introducing doubt, hesitation, overthinking, fantasies, regrets, expectations, self judgment. This creates an inner civil war, a war with no opponent, a war fought in an empty room. You are never fighting the world, you are fighting your idea of the world. You never interact with reality directly. You interact with your thoughts about people, your stories about events, your fears about the future, your interpretations of situations. You don't fight life, you fight your version of life. Everything is self conflict, there is no external battle. All conflict is internal noise. You versus your thoughts, never you versus the world. The self survives by fighting with itself. When thinking stops, conflict stops. Without identity, there is no one left to suffer. What you want is freedom from mind, not from external fake world. You don't clean the tributary vessels. You want to look at the source of the bleed. You do not want freedom from the world because the world is not imprisoning you. You want freedom from the mind because the mind is the only source of imprisonment. The world is not the bleed. Your thinking is the bleed. Trying to fix the world, trying to fix situations, trying to fix people is like wiping blood off your skin while the artery is cut open. You are cleaning the tributaries while the source remains untouched. The world is not your problem. Your mind's story about the world is. Nothing outside can imprison you. Only your thoughts can. The blade is not in events, the blade is in your interpretations. Events are neutral, interpretation is suffering. Interpretation is mind, and the mind is the wound. You don't free yourself by fixing branches, you free yourself by going to the root. You don't clean the thousands of little rivers, you look straight at the source spring. The source spring is the mind. Touch that, see it, understand it, and the entire downstream chaos disappears. The mind is the prison and the prisoner. The one who suffers and the thoughts causing suffering are the same system. Trying to fix thoughts with more thoughts is the mind operating on itself. It never works. Only direct saying ends the bleed. Not fixing, not controlling, not improving, not managing, seeing. Seeing the mind's movement without resisting it, without believing it, without identifying with it. And the wound heals. You don't need freedom from the world. The world is innocent. You need freedom from your mind because the mind is the source of all conflict, suffering, and illusion. Cleaning the external world is cleaning the tributaries. Seeing the mind directly is addressing the source of the bleed. This is the exact truth, pure, sharp, final. The only reason any human being is not free is because of his mind. This is not a metaphor, this is not philosophy, this is a diagnosis. Let me show you exactly why it is true. Nothing outside you can imprison you, only your mind can. No person, no boss, no society, no circumstance has the power to imprison you psychologically. They can restrict your physical movement, they cannot touch your inner freedom. The shackles are not on your hands, they are inside your skull. Your thoughts are the jailer. Every form of suffering is a mental movie. Fear, a thought about the future. Regret, a thought about the past. Anxiety, a thought about imagined outcomes. Insecurity, a thought about me. None of these exist in the world. All of them exist in the mind. You don't suffer life. You suffer your mind's commentary on life. The mind creates the problem, then pretends to solve it. This is its greatest trick. It creates desire, fear, comparison, expectation, identity, guilt, and then says, "Don't worry, I'll fix it." The arsonist becomes the firefighter. This is why you never get free. There is no suffering without thought. If you remove thought, where is fear? Where is conflict? Where is doubt? Where is frustration? Where is psychological pain? They vanish, not because the world changed, but because the mind stopped narrating it. The mind is the parasite that eats your freedom. It feeds on attention, belief, identification. You unconsciously give it these three, and it grows powerful. Once powerful, it creates an inner world, more real to you than outer world. You live in the fiction and call it my life. Freedom is not something you achieve. It is something revealed when the mind quiets. Freedom is your natural state. It is what remains when the noise of the mind goes silent. When you stop believing thoughts, the imaginary prisoner disappears. The walls collapse. There was never a cage, there was only thinking. Therefore, the only reason any human being is not free is because he is trapped in his own mind, his own thoughts, his own identity, his own stories. Everything else is an illusion. Your mind is the prison, your thoughts are the gods. Freedom is the absence of both. All problems are illusions of the mind. A problem does not exist in reality, it exists only as a thought about reality. There is the event and your mind's interpretation of the event. The event is real, the problem is not. The problem is the mind created story layered on top of the event. This is why it is an illusion. A problem requires thought. Without thought, no problem exists. If you don't think about the situation, if you don't tell a story about it, if you don't label it, where is the problem? Gone. Not because life changed, but because thinking stopped. A problem is not in life, it's in your interpretation of life. You lose money. This is an event. The mind says, "This is terrible. I am finished. What if I can't recover?" These thoughts are the problem. The event itself is clean and neutral. Problems are illusions because they are mental projections. The mind creates imagined futures, replayed pasts, fantasies, fears, expectations. None of these exist right now. They are mental pictures, illusions. You suffer these illusions, not reality. The one who has the problem is also an illusion. This is the deepest point. The me that is suffering is just another thought, a fictional character, a psychological avatar. So the problem is a thought, the sufferer is a thought, the entire suffering loop is imaginary, the whole thing is a dream. Illusion does not mean fake, it means mind created. An illusion feels real, a nightmare feels real, but its substance is zero. Problems feel real because you believe your thoughts. Stop believing the thought, and the problem evaporates instantly. Events are real, problems are mind made. Thought is the only creator of psychological pain. You suffer because you think that is all. There is no other source. The world is innocent. People are innocent. Circumstances are innocent. Only the mind is guilty. You believe your thoughts, and that belief becomes your prison. A thought appears, you grab it, you call it me, you call it my life, you call it my problem. You don't see that the thought is nothing. You treat smoke like it is stone. Nothing that you fear exists. Nothing that you regret exists. Nothing that you worry about exists. They exist only in your mind, nowhere else. Your mind is a storyteller. You mistake the story for reality. You keep trying to fix the world. Instead of seeing the mind, you patch the walls of a dream. You rearrange furniture in a burning house. The problem is not the world, the problem is the lens through which you see the world. The lens is cracked, so everything looks broken. Fix the lens, not the scenery. Your entire suffering is self created, self inflicted, self maintained. You create the fire, you scream at the fire, and you ask the fire to save you. You are both the arsonist, the victim, the firefighter. All roles played by one thing, the mind. Awakening is not a journey, it is an ending. The ending of the thinker, the controller, the worrier, the analyzer, the one who wants freedom. These are all characters in the dream. You want freedom from them, but you keep feeding them. Your liberation begins when you stop trying. It begins when you see. When a thought arises, see it, not fight it, not follow it, not fix it, not judge it. See it. Seeing is the end of believing. Believing is the birth of suffering. You ask for truth, but you do not want truth because truth destroys the seeker. It destroys the one you believe yourself to be. You want comfort, you want reassurance, you want the mind to remain without the suffering it produces. It doesn't work that way. You either keep the mind and keep the suffering, or you see through the mind and become free. There is no third option. You are not stuck, you are simply thinking. Stop believing the mind, and the world opens effortlessly. Stop identifying with the mind, and the self disappears. Stop chasing freedom, and freedom is all that remains.